Hi, welcome and thank you for listening to the Fearless Adventure Podcast. My name is Veerle and I'm taking you with me on a journey. In this podcast, I will give you a glimpse into my location-independent free life. I will tell you about the challenges of online entrepreneurship as a nomad, about finding the right mindset to grow, and how you can experience real freedom in your own non-nomadic life. My name is Veerle and welcome to Fearless Adventure. This episode is a little bit different than what you're used to in this podcast, because in this episode I am being interviewed by Hannah, the multi-passionate, on Instagram. And I decided to post this interview here on my podcast as well, because I think it explains a lot. It helps you a lot if you want to build a business as a multi-passionate. And Hannah is the best interviewer I could wish for. She has really great questions, but also very good insights in how to find your purpose or how to work as a multi-passionate or what freedom is. And we both talk a lot about how to build your business and what not to do or what to focus on. And it's a really good episode. So I can't wait to dive in a little bit more about Hannah. She is the multi-passionate on Instagram, and I will link to her in the show notes. And she, like me, is a freedom coach, even though she doesn't call herself a freedom coach. She is working with life design, with how you build your life as a multi-passionate. She has lots of passions and she built her business around it, not around all of them, but around a lot of it. And I guess she is a great example of how to integrate your passions into your working life. And we talk a little bit about work-life balance as well. And it's a great interview. So I can't wait for you to dive in. So please enjoy the interview.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Multi Bosses, where I interview multi-passionate entrepreneurs who are dedicated to create the freedom in their life to pursue everything that they love. Now, today I'm interviewing Veerle, or Fearless, as you would say it in English. And I met Veerle, it's a Dutch name, by the way. That's why it's hard to pronounce for English native speakers. But I met Veerle in my mastermind community in January, February with my coach. And we clicked right away, not only because we were both from the same country, but also because we have a lot in common. We are both Notion lovers, travel lovers. We both used to love working in the festival scene, and we love having a lot of time and freedom to be outside, outdoors. So I am gonna introduce Fearless soon. By the way, I didn't even say what she's doing, but I think she will explain that. But she is a coach as well, so it's gonna be a good one. I see she requested to join the video, so I'm just gonna let her in and let her introduce herself.
I cannot see you anymore. That's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Now I got you
No.
back. I can. Yes, I hear you. So that's all good. All right. I'm here. My name is not pronounceable in English. I always call myself Fearless, but I do have fears, and that's one of the biggest topics I like to talk about. And I am 35. I am a digital nomad, and I am a mindset freedom coach. And I love to help people gain more freedom in their work or private life.
Cool.
And that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a lot, like I said, we have a lot in common, and I am definitely going to ask you a lot of things about, well, first of all, your coaching, because obviously we're not doing exactly the same, but we're both freedom coaches. I don't call myself that, but I think that's basically what I do. I help people gain more freedom to pursue their passions. But we have a lot more in common, like Notion, like loving to travel and being outdoors. And what I definitely want to talk about is how to deal with burnout or fatigue. And because I think I talk to a lot of multi-passionates who actually struggle with that. I think a lot of our kind of people who are just very passionate about things and just all the time like chasing things that we love doing, we tend to forget about ourselves and our self-care and about just making sure that we have enough energy to do all those things that we love. So I know you're very good at that now at this time. So let's talk about that journey. Maybe first of all, outside of your coaching business, what do you do? What do you love doing?
Outside my coaching business, I love paddleboarding. I love hiking. I always want to be outside in nature, and I make it a priority to do that every day. Not paddleboarding every day, but you get my drift. And I love reading personal development. I'm always reading 5 books at a time. And I'm an organization nerd. I love organizing stuff. So I'm always rearranging my Notion. I'm always, I don't know, busy with organizing something. And I love reading about human design, manifestation, stuff like that. So I'm always in books.
Yeah. Oh God, I always have 5 books at the same time, and then I take for ages to finish it because I'm reading so many at the same time. Yeah, typical struggle. I love how you also are super interested in organizing. Just a quick question. What's your favorite Notion tool to use, or your favorite Notion page that you created for yourself?
I'm looking at my Notion right now. Actually, I guess my project page, and I copied that from you, I guess, that you have a project for a page for every project, and you have just one database with a gallery view, and you can see everything, and you just see in one overview what you're working on. And I have connected every page to my database to make a to-do list and everything, so I can see in one overview what I'm supposed to do for that certain project.
Yeah, amazing. That's literally what I love most about Notion compared to, for example, like Trello or something, that it's like hybrid. So you create your databases and then you can link everything in another page wherever you want it. It's like basically like a website a bit. So you don't have to separate things. Like this is something actually in my life I also have trouble with, like separating different parts of my life into folders, for example, on my computer, because everything is interconnected. Everything relates to each other. And like so that's why I find it very weird, for example, that the Windows has separate folders for photos and documents and videos, because those photos are part of something. Like it's not separate from. They all have themes and, well, whatever. We're going way ahead, but hybrid, multi-passionate, multi-dimensional life, right? So it's not made for that. Anyway,
see backlink. That's yeah.
No, 2 Notion nerds here for that's for sure. Let's go back a little bit in and how you started, because I know you didn't start out as a coach or even an online entrepreneur. What did you do before?
I started my business, I guess, 8 years ago, when I was asked to work in the festival world. So I started my business as a freelancer, organizing festivals. And that was, at that time, such a big passion of mine. And I loved it. I loved going to festivals. I loved organizing them, of course. And I was doing that for a couple of years. And at one time, I needed to have surgery and I couldn't carry stuff. I wasn't allowed to lift stuff. And that's kind of what I do. I build festivals. And so I needed to find something to be able to do, to earn money while laying in bed. So I Googled how to make a passive income, and I found Pinterest affiliate marketing. So I started using Pinterest to build an affiliate income. And I was already blogging for years. I started my blog in 2008. So I've been doing that for years. So I knew how it worked. And I started using Pinterest to create a passive income. And when I wanted to quit the festival world, I decided to go with Pinterest. So I became a Pinterest expert and have lots of courses and ebooks about that. And then I didn't like that anymore. And I decided to become a coach. And that's a real small recap of what I did and how I became a coach.
Yeah. Um, I think that's really interesting, by the way. I didn't know that you did Pinterest with affiliate marketing, but that makes a lot of sense. Did you actually create income from that
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
quickly? Yeah.
yeah, I still have some small income coming from that, even though I deleted all those Pinterest boards, but I still get income out of that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's always so interesting to hear all this different types of business models. And maybe it's interesting because the festival sector, why did you decide to quit at all? Because you really loved it and then you had a surgery, so you couldn't physically do it anymore. But why didn't you go back?
Well, I did go back because that was 2008 and I quit last year. Kind of had to with COVID, but I was already planning to quit as well. I didn't like it anymore. It was working crazy hours. A festival day is 18 hours and then you have 4 hours of sleep and you go again. And you're always working towards that one day or multiple days, and then everything's gone within 2 days. And I didn't like that. It's gone. You're working towards something that's not there to stay. So I didn't like that. The days were way too long. I was really tired every time I had a festival. I had to have 2 weeks in my calendar enabled to get myself alive
Recover.
again. Yeah, recover. It was crazy. So yeah, it wasn't good for my health in the end.
Yeah.
So I decided to quit, and I was pretty close. I don't want to say I had a burnout, but I know I had a burnout. I just told you earlier when we were meeting before this. The other day I got a text from someone about a festival and my heart rate went up. I was sweating. I was stressed, and it took me 24 hours to get it out of my body. And even talking about it right now is still, I feel it. So yeah, I was
Yeah.
at a burnout. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I didn't follow that road in the end, but I was really interested. Like, it's funny because yesterday I posted something about if I could clone myself, what kind of other lives would I live? And more as a joke, because now I know that's probably not the best idea, but like, um, I would definitely, one of my dreams was being a sustainability manager on festivals. And I kind of could have gone that direction because I wrote my thesis about that topic. I had some kind of little jobs in that sector lined up and like, but I started traveling and I didn't really go through with it. And sometimes I feel kind of a little bit of regret or like, oh, if I would have an extra life, I would try to do that. I also think that exactly the same thing would have happened, that happened to you, because I am someone that is very high sensitive. And, when I work at events, like it's intense and it's very, you risk having a burnout very quickly. I actually, one of my first jobs was an office job, but still I had responsibility of organizing events and managing a team. And it was a new company. So it was very chaotic and a lot of event management as well. And I actually almost got burned out from that. So I'm probably sure that the same thing would have happened. So, probably good that I didn't do that.
I think so, yeah. I'm really glad that I'm out of that. And I don't like festivals anymore, so I don't go to festivals anymore. So I ruined my own passion by pursuing a job in that
Yeah,
world.
that's a shame. I actually booked a festival for this summer in 2 weeks. So I still love festivals, or at least to go to it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's an interesting topic to touch on, because that's what I'm always saying as well, that it sometimes can be very dangerous to follow your passions,
yeah.
because of the reason that you actually lose your passion sometimes because of it. Like, what's your view on that? Like, your coaching business now, would you say it's built around your passions?
It is, because one of my passions is helping people. And that's always been one of my biggest things. So I do believe that it's built on a passion, but it's not built on multiple passions, or I don't know, it's just, I think we think that something is a passion, but it's just an interest. And there's a thin line between that. And it is risky to put your interest into your work, because then when you lose interest, you're going to resent it. And that's what happened for me with the festivals, but also with Pinterest. I don't like to do my Pinterest anymore. I have a VA who does my Pinterest because I don't like it. So when they are coming to me and asking me about that, if how to pursue what I want along
Ooh,
the way.
your connection was on mine, but you cut out. I'm not sure if it's.
Hope that helps. I don't see you.
Okay.
All right. Yes, back again.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Where was I cut off?
So you were talking about how it can be dangerous thing to follow your passion, and that you thought that it's dangerous to put your interest. That's the difference between passions and interests.
Yeah.
And just following an interest blindly and putting that in your business can be dangerous, because your VA is doing your Pinterest now.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah, and when someone comes to me with the question, what should I do? Where should I build my business around? I always tell them to just take one thing and not try to do everything. For example, I could easily integrate paddleboarding or my hikes into my business, but I don't, because I know I don't want to resent it. It's too precious to me in order to kill it. So I always tell people to just go with one thing and change it if you don't like it.
Yeah, I think so. What you call the difference between maybe passions and interests, I say, like, because what you say, like, okay, my business is around helping people, which is a passion of mine. I think that's more purpose. That's what I would call purpose. And that's like a deeper level of passion, something that's beyond passion, like as like a deeper layer connecting all of those things. Because a lot of the times we're kind of chasing the superficial things. So, for example, with creative hobbies, I know a lot of creative multi-passionates who have like, okay, well, I love photography. Oh, I love painting. I love drawing. I love, I don't know, making pots and how do you say that? Pottery.
Pottery, yeah.
And then it actually all comes down to the same thing, which is creative expression. And then instead of following those specific passions, like, oh, I have to bring pottery in my business, just make sure that you have that you always are creative in your business, and you have a creative business. But what exactly it is about is not going to matter as much, because it all gives you the same kind of fulfillment. So that's how I explain it usually.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So you're a freedom mindset coach. So what exactly is it that you're helping your clients with?
Can be whatever they want. It's usually it's building their business a little bit more and figuring out how to get more freedom from it. A lot of my clients are workaholics or recovering workaholics, and we always look at how they can work less. So earn more, work less. And that's so important. And well, it depends. Sometimes we're working on growing their mindset. Sometimes we work on the product suite, but usually it is about energy levels and pursuing their dreams. So it's multiple topics.
Cool. I think energy levels is something that you talk about a lot, especially after, burnout and having struggled with fatigue for a long time. And I know, like, if I see you online and if I talk to you, I know that you're chilling a lot. So you're very like, you're not working that many hours per day. You're a lot in nature. And I would definitely say that you're someone who found that work-life balance in a very great way, which is still something I am working on. So I would love to talk a little bit more about that. Like how many hours per week or per day do you generally work?
I guess right now it's around 16 to 20 hours per week. I usually work 4 hours a day for 4 days a week. Depends. Sometimes I do work longer, and sometimes I do work in the weekends, but I try to work 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I know but that's the thing, is some things don't feel like work. For example, my reading, I read a lot of business books, I read a lot of mindset books, and you might say it is work, but because it is related to my work, but I don't count it as work because it recharges me. It's getting, it's giving me energy. So it's an activity that is connected to my business, but I don't see it as actually working.
No, that makes sense. I have that too. Like a lot of my self-development things, obviously as a coach, especially, you use that in your business to, create content about or whatever.
Yeah.
But the creating content part is what I would see as work.
Yeah.
But how do you like decide what to work on? Because like 4 hours per day, if that's your average, that's not a lot. So
Nope. No, and it's
you,
usually coaching calls. So
yeah,
sometimes I do something between the coaching calls, but usually it's just coaching calls what I do on a day. And sometimes I invent a project that I'm making a funnel, making a webinar or something like that to automate stuff. So what I discovered early on is that I love to have automated things. So I used to have a lot of ebooks when I still had a Dutch business, and I just put it on Pinterest and then it grows itself. So I don't need to work that much because it's already out there. And now I just focus on what my job is, and that is coaching people and how can I help people. And I don't have a really active online presence, I guess. I'm not posting every day, every week. I guess my last post was a month ago. No, I posted this week. So I have posted, but that's not my strategy. My strategy is very passive with Pinterest and with my podcast. So that's why I can easily work less, because my whole strategy is automated.
yeah, yeah. So you're not doing it yourself because your VA is painting, but you're still getting your clients for a large part through Pinterest and through your website.
Yeah, and through my podcast. And that's a good thing. My podcast, I can
Oh
just
yeah,
pin it. So I record a podcast, my VA edits it and make pins about it, and then it's out there and I just promote it on my Instagram, and that's it. That's about it. So
yeah,
it is a pretty low work strategy that I have. And I guess I needed that as well, because I knew that if I was gonna work more hours, I wouldn't like what I did anymore.
yeah.
Because then my fatigue would kick in, and I don't want that. So I really made decisions about this so I could have the peace and quiet that I need in my life.
Yeah. I actually forgot about that when I introduced you. I was a guest on your podcast, which was in English, in Dutch still at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Why, by the way, did you decide to switch to English? Just interest question.
Because I am a digital nomad, and I knew that as soon as I would hit a road again, it didn't make sense to have it in Dutch anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I can do Dutch, I can do English. It doesn't really matter. So I decided to switch it up earlier on so I could get used to the fact that everything is in English now. But I noticed that I love doing Dutch episodes as well, so I might sneak in a Dutch episode every now and then.
That's all right.
I guess so. Yeah.
I was going to say something about how interesting it is that you really learned how to focus on your core activity, which is the coaching, and which is what you really, want to do, and then automate it pretty much, or outsource the rest, because that's a big topic I talk about with my clients as well. And it's actually something I discovered too late, because I thought, I have to do everything myself. I have to do all of these different things. And I actually created a pretty inefficient business in that sense, because, well, what I had to do with it as well was that I was still working full time, but that I wasn't working full time. So I quit my job and I had all the time in the world. So I thought, well, I'm just going to spend all those 40 hours that I normally am on my job to build my business. And then there's other people that just, either have struggles with burnout or have a full-time job and build a business next to it. And then they really learn how to focus on that needle moving activities, like we call it, and build their business on just like a couple of hours per week. So that is really interesting for me that you're so good at that.
Yeah, but I
What?
wasn't always good at that. So it grew that way. And it has everything to do with that. I know that when you work long hours and you don't take breaks, you're not that productive. You can work 8 hours and do less than when you work 2 hours, because you're not productive if you don't take breaks, if you don't think everything through and just do it. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I'm so keen on taking breaks and go outside to clear your head. And that's why I try to walk every day outside, because it clears my head, and that way I know I get new ideas, I get inspiration. It works both ways. You're more productive and you have inspiration. How awesome is that? Isn't that what we all need?
For sure. And I think it's the hardest thing, right? Because I mean, especially for me, or probably for a lot of other people, like you're working and you're in the flow and you're like, okay, I need to get this done. Like there's so much you need to get done, or you want to get done. And then it's hard to just take a step back and take a break. But now, like I've learned that little loop. And like yesterday I felt very stressed and I was like working and I was like, I forgot even to drink water. And I told myself, like, you have to go outside, go for a walk. You will feel better. You probably get more inspiration. That's exactly what happened. Like I went outside and I felt a lot better afterwards. But it's so hard to just take that step away because we feel we need to do so much.
And usually we don't notice the signs because your body is giving you signs that you're not working the way you should. Last week, it was raining in the Netherlands almost every day. And from multiple clients who are Dutch, I got messages like, hey, I'm not productive. I'm not feeling well. I'm not sure what to do. And I didn't have to ask what they were doing. I just said, you should go for a walk. Even though it's raining, go for a walk. You need to go outside. Did you take a break today? And everyone responded within an hour or two, I feel better, thanks. But that's the thing. We're not used to taking those breaks or see the signs, because I know when I need to take a break, I'm checking my phone. I'm changing tabs on my laptop. I'm doing all those little stuff because I'm not focused. And as soon as I notice that, I'm walking away from my laptop because I know I'm not going to be productive anymore. So it is about registering everything that you do when you're not focused anymore.
Yeah, that's recognizing those little signs that for me it's multitasking definitely as well. I have like all the tabs open and start like, oh yeah, this, oh yeah, that, and then I start doing even like mixing personal and business tasks. Oh yeah, I have this admin task or that email, and it gets very messy. Yeah, when you're just working focused for 25 minutes, like which is like a Pomodoro block, so I always like to use that time. You will be surprised how much you get done.
Yeah, and especially when you have less tabs open, because I noticed that when I have 4 or 5 tabs open, I cannot focus anymore. But the annoying part is that usually you have to have multiple tabs open to copy paste something or to look up something.
Yeah.
But I keep training myself that I close them as soon as I don't need them anymore, because otherwise I know my brain is going like, what should I do? And then when you just close it, it's fine. Now I just noticed that I have my email open on my tab and I don't need it right now, so I have to close that for a second.
Yeah, for sure. I have a little bit of a more philosophical question for you. I always like to ask my guests here that question. We touched on it a little bit, but what does purpose mean for you?
I always find that purpose is such a big word that people can really cling on to it. Like, I need a purpose. I need to know what I'm supposed to do in my life. But it's fine if you don't know it. You will feel it deep down if you do know your purpose, and if you don't, it's fine. Don't go chasing it because you're not going to find it then. But yeah, I think it's a hard thing. You know deep down what it is, but you don't. I don't know. I cannot explain that. For me, I always knew that I needed to help people, but I didn't know what way or with what. And then the last 20 years of my life happened with fatigue syndrome and burnout and everything. And now it makes sense that I need to do something with energy and pursuing dreams. But it wasn't clear to me when I started my online business. So if I would focus on, I need to have a purpose, I don't know what my purpose is, then I wouldn't have found what I'm doing right now. So when people are looking for their purpose and clinging on to that, that can be unhealthy. But I guess when you know your purpose, everything is way easier. So that's a bit difficult about purpose.
I think how I often explain it, and which is kind of in line with what you were saying, is that people expect maybe like this purpose is like this very specific thing, like, oh, I found my purpose, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It's very clear and specific, but actually it's more of a general line, and it's also not something that is constant, because like you say, it can be because you experience something and then you find like a deeper meaning to actually help people with a certain thing that you experienced, to go through a certain experience, or especially as a coach, right? We help people go through certain parts of their lives with the experience we had personally. And that's what I like. I think also people confuse a little bit like passion and purpose often, because purpose is so much more of a deeper level. And actually the funny thing is, when I do like a purpose exercise with my clients, which I call like a life compass exercise, I notice that many of the same things come back for almost all people. Everyone wants to help people. Everyone wants to, live an authentic, creative life. Everyone wants freedom. So like, it's basically the basis of what we want as a human being. And if we just live to those general values and not focus on finding that specific thing, we actually already living our purpose, and we will find what we want to do with it in our life, like you did.
That's so beautiful said. Nice.
Yeah, like I think it's very interesting purpose. It's something that I really love to talk and to think about. But like you say, actually trying to find it somewhere under under a tree, like, oh hey, I found my purpose, now I know what to do with the rest of my life. Like, it's not going to be like that. You're going to have questions all of your life, and you're going to change paths and change direction. But the more you focus on the now and the present moment, and doing just what you love doing now and doing what feels good, the more you will find yourself on the right path.
Yeah,
I think that's how I see it. Yeah. We were talking a little bit about time management and moving needle activities and how you can outsource things. But what I want to know is, do you have any other advice for multi-passionates who want to have specifically a business that gives them a lot of freedom around it, like a lot of time and freedom around it, to pursue what they love, so they don't have to work like all the time? How can you do that?
What I always ask people when they take a look at their to-do list, because we multi-passionates always have like crazy to-do lists. We know we should do this, and it's a lot. And when I'm looking at a task, I look at two things. Can I eliminate, delegate, or automate this? And is it really part of my dream? Is it working? Is it that one thing that I need to do right now to get the ball rolling, to get closer to my dream? And if it's not, then it's definitely eliminate. And then of course you have delegate and automate, and that's more with, there's so much you can automate. So I always try to take a look at stuff, if you can automate it or delegate it. And VAs these days can do so much. So yeah, just try if you can have someone else doing something for you. And that helps. That when you look at your task like that, you will make up so much more time because you don't have to do everything that's on your list. And what I find as well was that sometimes when you don't do something, or you have resistance toward a task, it probably shouldn't be done anyway. You're resisting it for a reason. So just put it on another list and check in with it tomorrow or a week or a month later. And if it needed to be done, you would have done it by now. So that way I eliminate lots of my tasks because I know I'm not feeling it, so I don't have to do it.
That's interesting. Like I am definitely someone who is more on the discipline kind of pushing side than on the surrender and seeing what I feel like doing. And I know that's not often really smart because it makes me do too much. But like how because my view would be on tasks that I don't feel like doing, what I always say to my clients, like, okay, either, well, sometimes one of the three options is that it's not necessary to do it. Mm-hmm. One of the options is also that you made the task too big in your, so it's like a too big task, so you need to break it down to smaller pieces so it's easier to start. And the other thing is that it's not in your zone of genius. So maybe, you should outsource it or something, or automate it if you can. But I usually I find it funny that you say okay, well, if you don't feel like it, just don't do it. But there's some truth in it, because often, when it actually has a deadline, when you really need to get it done, you will get it done. So
yeah, well, I guess I say this with building your own business and not having actual deadlines. When I was working in the festival world, I used to have deadlines like crazy, but now I don't have deadlines. I create my own deadlines. And if I'm not feeling it, I don't have to do it. But for me, it all started with my chronic fatigue syndrome. And every time I was resisting something and I did it anyway, I paid the bill afterwards. It was always draining my energy. And that's when I quit doing stuff that I resent because it's not working. So yeah. I guess for me, it's a little bit different with the fatigue background, but it works for me. So I'm sticking with the don't do what you when you feel the resistance. And sometimes it's outsourcing. That's why I have a VA, because I am resisting Pinterest, but I know it is best for my business. So I still think it should be done. But that's why I ask someone else to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm actually going to try to do that more often and look at the task and okay, I'm resisting this just because it's not necessary and I have better stuff to do. Yeah, good one. I like that. I am curious to know, before we round up the interview, what are you currently working on and what are your plans? I know that very soon you'll be traveling, right? Where are you going?
Yes. In 2 weeks, I will move to Las Palmas on the Canary Islands.
Oh my God.
Yes, I can't wait to be back. I was there when COVID hit, so I'm really glad that I can go back and I live close to the beach there, and I don't know, it feels finally like my life is getting back again, and I'm looking forward to it. But that's one of the things that I'm working on. Of course, it's a big thing, moving again after such a long time in the Netherlands. But in my business, I'm working on, of course, my podcast, because my podcast is an ongoing task. But I'm also launching a new course. It's called Fiercely in Alignment, and I'm going to help people to work less and live more from alignment and really find their spiritual ground again. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not really launching it yet, even though we start in 2 weeks. But yeah, it came to me a month ago, and it's a little over a month ago, I guess. But I don't know, I cannot describe it yet because I haven't started it yet. And that's the thing, especially with my business, is when I'm not feeling it, I'm not doing it. And that's why I'm not launching it yet. And I'm going to sell it when we have started. So.
But who's going to start if you haven't launched it?
I have some clients who get when you're doing coaching with me, you get my courses. So a lot of my clients already have it. And I had a challenge a month ago, and some people won the course. So I have enough people in it to actually
that's
start
cool.
it.
Yeah, that's cool. You have a round before you actually,
Yeah, because
launch it. Have a
that
lot
would
more to talk about then as well if you
because
launch.
then it feels more. I feel more connected to it because I know what it is that I'm gonna do. So it
Yeah,
makes more sense that way to me. And I know
yeah.
lots of people say that you shouldn't build your course before selling it, but for me it feels more aligned, and we'll see how it works. But
I think that's good. Like, yeah, it's all those rules online, right? About like how you should do stuff. And I
yeah,
think this is something that I learned from our coach as well, a lot where we were working with, um, how important it is to just do things your own way and listen to yourself. Like, how do you want to run your business? And that's definitely a big thing that I'm working on at the moment. And you're a good example of that. I think like doing everything like, oh yeah, you're always so chill. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing a challenge, but I haven't really promoted yet a lot. Or I'm doing this. Oh yeah, I'm starting tomorrow. I'm launching a course tomorrow. You're like very chill. And I'm like in my head, like preparing my launch like months ahead. Like, oh, that's the day I'm gonna launch. Okay, I'm gonna plan ahead everything.
yeah. But that way
And
doesn't work for me because I don't feel the energy months before I'm thinking of something or before I start it. I'm in the energy when I'm doing it.
yeah,
And I am so big on energy because if you're not feeling it, then it's not right at that moment. And launching for me is not right if you prepare everything because that's not my style. But if it's your style, it's
yeah.
fine. That's the difference, I guess. And I just know that it's not for me.
Yeah, I think it's always finding the middle ground as well because
Yeah.
I have like when I'm trying the more chill way, I also get stressed from it. So I need kind of some sort of structure to have the feeling that I'm in control, even though like I'm never fully in control of life. Like I know that, but just to give me peace of mind. And then within that, I'll try to work with my energy and like not talk about my lounge when I don't feel like it, or have the energy right. So I think it's probably going to work a little bit different for everyone, but it's
Yeah.
good that you found your way that way. So
Yeah.
amazing. All right. So when are you gonna? No, well, you probably don't know. When are you officially gonna launch your course?
I don't know. It is already on my website. It is on my website. I have a sales
Okay.
page, so it is there, but it's not something I promote in my
Yeah.
stories or anything. So
Yeah.
it is there. People
Well,
can join if they want.
yeah. If you want to join, go to her website, fearlessadventures.com. Is that it?
No,
Sorry.
fearlessbusiness.nl. I only have
Ah.
.nl accounts. So yeah, it's fearless like I have no fear. So fearlessbusiness.nl.
All right. Amazing. Anything else you want to say to our audience before we close off? A last.
Before we close off, one last thing. If you think about starting your business, don't think about it, just do it. I think the biggest key that people can that you just have to start doing, and it doesn't have to be big. People always think that the first action should be big, but it can be small stuff. So just start with small stuff, and you can build something with 1 hour a day. And that's how I started my blog years ago, just 1 hour a day. So that's my golden rule. Just start with 1 hour a day.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Get out of your head and just start doing things because action brings clarity, I always say.
Yes, definitely.
You cannot find the perfect business idea in your head. You can only find it when you start doing business.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Thank you so much, Veerle.
You're welcome. Thanks for
And
having me.
yeah, and I hope to talk to you maybe in real life, maybe on Gran Canaria. We'll see wherever we meet. Otherwise, just
Definitely.
online.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Have a really great day. And I'll see you guys in the next multi-buses. All right. Bye.
Thank you for getting along on my journey and listening to another episode of Fearless Adventure. Would you like more information on the topic of this episode? Then take a look at the show notes on fearlessadventure.nl. Give your opinion or want to screenshot this episode on Instagram, you can find me and tag me on Instagram at Fearless. That is Veerlez, Fearless. Can't wait to hear from you and see you next time.